Hey guys, on today's episode we get the rear cab mounts fabbed up on our Crewcab Highboy build. We had to do things a little bit different on this truck, so stick around and see how we did it. Here we go guys, we're back working on our Crewcab build here. Fill you in with what I've been doing. Remember I told you in the last episode we were going to do fish plates where we got those cut out and welded in. We just went ahead and did a real long piece all the way across the joint because it's going to make our crossmember here easier fitment, because we won't have to worry about making it fit in and out of the welds of where the fish plates were, so we got a nice flat spot to weld our brackets for our mount here for the cab mounts right there. So here's the other one here on this side. Here we have the crossmember here. We have the brackets cut off because we're going to make some longer ones to fit our 7-inch frame. We had to cut it in two to get it out of the old frame, the two-wheel drive frame. We have it tacked together, and we're going to get the locations marked here on the frame for the perfect location for this, and we're going to mark the holes for the rivet holes here on the frame, drill those, bolt that in. Then we're going to set the cab back on it and make sure everything is right as far as alignment and cab height and location. And then we're going to build some brackets that go down the side of the frame like the factory mount would have been. But right now we're going to mark these holes. Well, we got to get the cab centered, mark where that bracket or that crossmember needs to be exactly, and then mark the holes, drill the holes, and then we'll put this in and bolt it in and set the cab on it. And then that will be, the cab will be able to set on the frame independently of the lift, so we'll be able to set it off and roll it out and do whatever we need to there. Then we're going to fabricate some brackets to strengthen that crossmember. So that's how we're getting along so far. After we get that done, we need to drill the holes for the bed, because we need 2 more holes for the bed, and I want to do that while the bed's here before it leaves. And I think then we might be done with the cab as far as the frame goes, as far as fabricating, and it might be ready to go off for paint and body. And then we have the task of rebuilding everything on this frame. And there's some brackets. It's not this one, the other side. Leaf spring bracket is loose. This one here, see it's cracked there and it's loose. We're gonna have to tighten all that back up, but that stuff we were going to tackle after we get the bed all lined up, so that the bed and the cab can leave and we don't have to worry about not having it here when we're trying to do stuff where we need it here, like these cab mounts. So anyway, I'll get that in. I'll fill you guys in when we get a little further along. And I got the crossmember in the frame here so you can kind of see what we're doing here. There's the crossmember. It's just tacked together and just kind of sitting in there. But drill the holes for the frame. Gonna run some bolts in there. I'm gonna have to notch this right here a little bit to clear that, give that a little bit more room, because right now that's what's holding it in. Same on the other side there. And then after I get that where I want it, I'm gonna build some pieces that come down here that resemble the factory plate that was on the two-wheel drive frame. The two-wheel drive frame is thinner or narrow, or not as tall right here, so that bracket would have had, you know, a couple inches right here from the bottom. So I'm just going to make a new one there, and plus the old ones were kind of rusted, and one of them was almost rusted all the way through. So I'm going to make some new ones here that fit this frame better, and I'm going to have to weld this up here. and then hopefully we'll set the cab on it and make sure everything's happy there, and we'll have the rear crossmember done for the cab mounts. And gonna have to figure out those bumpers right there that I talked about in the previous episode. We're gonna make something here on this transfer case crossmember, but I gotta figure out the height, you know, if I can just bolt them to the crossmember, if they're gonna be too low or too high and things like that. But so far everything's going good, and I'll have to double check that we have everything, all our bases covered while we have the cab and the bed still. But I think we're doing good so far, because I'm having a hard time thinking of things that we need to do other than the holes in the bed. That's on the list too. But first thing is tackling this crossmember and getting it where it's going to be and how it's going to be, so we can send the cab off. So I'm going to work on that, and see you guys a little bit later. Got a little farther along here on this rear cab mount crossmember. We have it bolted in now. You can see right here where I clearance the frame a little bit to match this, because the two-wheel drive frames are narrower right here, so there's room for this, because this is a two-wheel drive crossmember, and the the F-350 and four-wheel drives had the cab mount out here because they would have a frame that's this size. So they're out here, so you don't have this interference, but we're using the two-wheel drive crossmember because that matches up with our cab, and we don't have to deal with drilling new holes here and having a crush sleeve in there and everything. So that's what we're doing here. I clearance that. It's bolted in, welded it back together, and we worked on the frame here, smoothing this out, so whenever we coat the frame, whatever we're coating with, you're not going to be able to tell. Let's see, got the brackets here made. These things right here got a hole in them for the brake lines and wiring harness and stuff. Still have to weld a piece up here to bolt. We're going to bolt it up to this right here, so I have to have a little 90-degree shoulder at the top. A little better view of where that goes. There's going to be two on here, and I built these to kind of mirror what the factory ones looked like. They had a hole. They were stamped, but a lot thinner gauge metal. I just used some 1/4-inch plate because that's what I had. But we got a 2-inch hole in there so we can pass through brake lines and stuff in the wiring harness. That's where we're at so far. Got to get those brackets in. We did set the cab down on the frame and put all the weight on the frame, and the holes for the cab mounts lined up perfect. So we did good there. And you can see here our alignment. I used that. I got the cab down and got the alignment perfect, and then we drilled the holes and lined the bracket up. So it's going good. I guess after we get those cab mounts done, or the crossmember support brackets done, we have to move on to repairing all the little pieces that are wrong with this frame. There's one of the motor mounts up there is a little messed up. The front spring hanger bolts are a little wallered out. We got to fix those, and we got one of the rear spring hangers, like I said earlier, was loose. But haven't filmed much of me actually doing the work. If you guys are missing that, let me know. It just takes a lot more time to set up every time when you're wanting to do something. It's easier just to fill you guys in whenever we get something done here. So if you guys are missing that, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to do a little better job. But otherwise, I'll keep plugging along. The cab mount crossmember is done. Here you can see the finished product. You can kind of see what I was talking about. Wanted the factory look with it there, with a hole for pass through. We just welded them in, bolted the top down to fit, so you could take this out for some reason if you ever wanted to, and those are just welded in. Hey guys, I thought I would show you here, since we have an F-350. I was talking about the outboard cab mounts, and this is an F-350 Crewcab, and you can see it has that outboard cab mount right there. Highboys would have a similar mount there. I don't know if they're exactly the same because I don't have a Crewcab Highboy here to go off of. But a regular cab, the mount is right here. See where the frame is sloping down? It's outboard right here. But on the Crewcabs, they're back here where it's flat. So these are different. The regular cabs, there's a piece on top that goes on top of the frame. It's at an angle. These are flat and they're down farther. So that's what makes those unique. And interesting enough, the crossmember is about right here. You can see the rivets right there for the bottom of it. The crossmember's right there, and doesn't have a crossmember where the mount is. So my assumption that the F-350 just had a crossmember there, and then the rivets held on this one is wrong because there's not one there. There's a crossmember right here, and then another one shortly after right there, but then there's not one where the cab mounts are. But anyway, I just thought I would show you that since we have this F-350 here, and show you what the outboard cab mounts look like since I was talking about that. And I might be able to find, let's see, yeah, right there. Can you see that hole? That's where the F-250 cab mount would be. So there's no crossmember there, but that's the hole for the F-250 cab mount, like the one we made for our Highboy truck. So that's how they did it on these 350s. Now I have the cab sitting back on the frame. You can see how we did things here. That crossmember is what's supporting the cab there. We have those brackets to strengthen it. And as you just saw on that 350, the cab mounts would be out here. But since this truck already had the holes for the inboard cab mounts and we had that crossmember, it's just easier just to make this crossmember work on this frame. But that should give you an idea of why we did the things we did, and also how we did it. So, well, that just about does it for this episode, guys. Just a quick video on how we did the rear cab mounts on this thing. I'm having a blast with this project. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. If you are, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. But as always, thanks for watching, guys.